Hi, my name is Tyriece Elijah,
Elijah Jones.
and this is a not planned
If
UFC 256 prediction show.
not planned, impromptu, all the above.
Yeah, yeah, we were totally not going to do this, and we was going to wait till this Sunday at 10:30. But we're both up. You're getting sneakers. I'm waiting for a package. So I'll just get together and do the show.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, we're talking about something that we both love, something we're both passionate about, something we've been watching for 10 years plus now.
Right?
Something that, I wouldn't say we're the upper echelon of the upper echelon analysts, but I mean, most of what we say on these shows, if you're watching, seem to be correct. So why
Yeah.
not?
I think we get a little bit of juice.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
Mm-hmm.
so.
I agree. And today is actually going to be a very, 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 very exciting card, in my opinion. Would you like me to go ahead and I don't know if I can do the whole thing early. I know it takes me time to be able to do those things.
Well, we'll save your big intro that you love to do tomorrow for the show. We'll save you some energy. Save you some energy.
Okay.
Um,
Here for
but
that.
let me try. Let me try. Give it a try. All right. So tonight, UFC 256, you will see the flyweight championship. Davidson Figueiredo go against Brandon Moreno for the flyweight championship five round main event. In your co-main event, you will see Tony El Ferguson versus the up and coming rising lightweight contender Charles Oliveira.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Elijah, where would you like to start?
I would 100% like to start with the main event. And the reason why is because we're finally getting a breath of fresh air back into the flyweight division, right? This is a division for the last 3 to 4 years, I want to say, had hit kind of a stagnancy in terms of where the division was going. You had Demetrius Johnson, one of the most dominant MMA fighters in history, to rule over that division, fighting the likes of Joseph Benavidez twice. He was
Mm,
able to beat recently. Sorry, he beat Henry Cejudo the first time, TKO first round due to knees to the body, which was, in my opinion, one of the most impressive finishes ever. Because this is, again, Demetrius Johnson is a guy who walks around probably at 140 in his life. He's 125. He's able to do it all. He's able to wrestle. He's able to strike. He's able to grapple with the wrestlers wrestlers, and able to jujitsu with the jujitsu guys, coming off of an impressive. It got to a point where in his career he was starting to finish people, right?
mm,
That's how good he had got. Like, he could decisively finish fights. The Ray Borg fight, picks him up with a suplex, drops him mid-air into an armbar. That alone is one of the reasons as to why, it's just interesting to see how the division went from that point to point A. Now, tonight we have Figueiredo, who had got the belt from Joseph Benavidez by finishing him twice, and we have what's it called? Sorry, Brandon Moreno, who is really a guy who was let go by the UFC, found a lot of success on the outer side on the independent circuits. I believe it was either LFA or RFA.
it
I
was
could be. It was LFA, right? And he became the champion there. Then comes back to UFC, goes on a tear, beating guys like Kai Kara France. He beat Jussier Formiga, and he recently just beat Brandon Royval. So it's such an interesting place to have this guy. And for tonight, I'm going to put my money on Brandon Moreno. I'm going to cash in with him. I believe he's the underdog for tonight. I'm
yes.
going to cash in with Brandon Moreno, and the reason as to why is there's been such an evolution in his game. Just from not only from the grappling aspect, but the stand up aspect alone. I want to go back to when he fought Sergio Pettis, and he got outstruck in those exchanges. He wasn't there to beat Sergio Pettis to the punch. And then from there to now, we see him taking on guys like Kai Kara France, who mainly are these heavy strikers. You have guys like, he was dealing with the unpredictability of Brandon Royval. I just think when it comes to the complete package as of right now, I think Brandon Moreno has the tools necessarily to get it done against Figueiredo. What about you?
No, I think if you wanted to place your money on Brandon Moreno as the underdog, it'd be hard to blame you. I mean, Brandon Moreno on paper, you look at his striking. His striking has vastly improved from the Sergio Pettis fight to now. Before he used to be kind of a Dominic Cruz type, where he used to have his hands down, and what he
Yeah.
would do is he would try to grapple with you and try to go for a double leg takedown usually, and trying to get you to the ground,
Mm-hmm.
try to either control you there or submit you.
Yeah.
Um, now fast forward to his last fight with Brendan Revoy or Kai Kara France. He's
Yeah,
more comfortable striking now.
he's
Uh,
very comfortable.
he's very
Very, very
comfortable
comfortable.
striking now. He puts his strikes together. He uses his kicks as well. He'll mix in a jab with the high kick. He'll do certain things. He's not afraid to stand in the pocket.
No.
Um, I- so my job now that I'm working on has me looking at stats and have me looking at trying to predict how fights are gonna go. And one of the things that we found out is that over the last couple of years, Brendan Moreno's significant strikes count has gone up every single year. Last year,
Yes, sir. That's
he,
a
av-
very. Can
he,
we?
av- he averaged 63 significant strikes a fight.
Yeah.
So um, compared to Davidson Figueiredo doesn't throw a high output. Usually he's able to stalk his opponents down and try to overwhelm him with his power, but he doesn't really
Hmm.
throw a lot in terms of strikes. So if you're looking at this as a 5-round fight, the question is, can Brandon Moreno take the power or be able to have good enough defense to maybe slip and move away from the power and be able to overwhelm uh, Figueiredo with volume? Because the thing about this fight is they're both good on the ground. They're
Hmm.
both very, very good on the ground. Brandon Moreno, he could strike, but I would think he prefer taking it to the ground in control.
Yeah.
Davidson Figueiredo, he could catch you with a guillotine or catch you by surprise or submission off
Easily.
the back, right?
He's got long
Especially,
limbs.
especially in
Really.
this last fight.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to the striking, I believe. And if Brandon Moreno can deal with the power and can deal with being able to move forward, I think he can't move back. That's to Figueiredo's game plan. He has to move forward and press forward. And another thing, he needs to stay away from the power hand of Figueiredo.
Hmm.
One of the
That's it.
things that
That's the issue.
one of the things that Moreno likes to do is he believes he likes to move to his left side. Like he'll go and he'll move to this left side, which will
Hmm.
play into the power shot of Figueiredo.
Yeah, because Figueiredo, if I'm not mistaken, Figueiredo stands southpaw, correct?
Yes.
It's Figueiredo's power hand is his left hand, so he's always looking. He's always kind of going to the right to kind of get that good base. To that way, bam, right. So he steps to the right to turn, steps to the right to turn. And the thing about Moreno is if Moreno's facing that, Moreno's best chance to either circle out to the right and make sure he doesn't get caught with a head kick or a body kick, or to kind of go into that. Now, I think there's a great point you brought up earlier was that Brandon Moreno, I think, in my opinion, has the speed advantage when it comes to striking. And I
Yeah.
think that's gonna be the overall telltale, right? Because when you get into those wars like that, right? What we notice is the guy who seems to be just a little, they can have the same level of striking, they can have different levels of striking, but the person who's even seems to be just the slightest on the point or the slightest to able to land that shot at the right moment, at the right angle, with that much precision and a certain amount of power, they're able to do things that the other person can't. So I think when it comes to those getting to those pocket brawls and exchanges, if Moreno doesn't get knocked down the first time, and he's able to land earlier and faster and more consistent than Figueiredo, I'm going to give the fight to Brandon Moreno. I think that's going to make the difference in this fight. Whoever starts to land quicker, because like you said, with the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling on the ground, these guys are essentially cancel each other out unless there's certain unless they're not really getting to a grappling, it's really just the submission for the ground. I'm sorry, the position for the ground and pound. That'll be the determinant, right? But other
Mhm.
than that, I think Moreno is actually going to have the quicker hands, and that's going to lead to him being able to either piece him up or catch him when he's least suspecting it.
Let me correct myself. It's the right side. He has to worry about going on the right side because Figueiredo is orthodox.
Oh, or this. Oh, okay. Sorry,
Orthodox.
I
Yeah, yeah.
haven't. I haven't.
It's not the left
I'm
hand. It's the
blind.
right. It's the right hand.
So yeah, I mean, just reverse what I said exactly, right?
Yeah.
The right hand, if the right hand's the power hand, you have to worry about that right cross. So if he's going, jab, jab, you're stepping to the left, almost kind of angling out, so that way your base is not as square. You're off the center line, and you can throw those power punches off the right. Same thing what I said. Moreno
Yeah.
would have to look out, of course, for either the right power or the right leg to the body, either or. I think,
Do
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
do you think? So let me ask you this, because another thing I was thinking about was, okay, if Moreno can somehow get Figueiredo to the ground, and he's able to have great submission defense off the top position, and is able to try to control, which has been hard to do. The only person that's ever been able to control Figueiredo to a standpoint is Juicy Formiga,
Mm-hmm.
and Juicy Formiga beat Davidson Figueiredo.
Juicy,
So I
he
was,
did.
so I was
And
thinking, yeah,
yeah, so good. Keep going. I like
no, no.
that
So
point.
I was thinking if Brandon Moreno can control can control Davidson Figueiredo, how would the fight go, especially for a 5 round fight where Moreno can go 5 rounds.
Mhm.
Figueiredo, we've never ever seen him go 5 rounds.
Yeah. I think it matters. Those exchanges, those grappling exchanges are going to be very crucial, right? Those are very crucial to whoever wins because it's not going to be immediate submission. It's who gets the better positioning. That's really what's going to happen because if this fight works better for me. For Figueiredo if it's long and drawn out. That's just sorry. If it's very very short, the fight works better for Moreno because Moreno is used to getting better through as the fight goes on, from what we've seen. I just don't know if Figueiredo is going to be able to keep up with Moreno for the whole 5 minutes, if it
Here's
does
a,
come to
here's a,
fruition.
here's a stat for you. So I have somebody, I'm working with somebody who does doing stat analytics for me. And he told me that Figueiredo is controlled for 1 minute and 48 seconds per fight.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Moreno's controlled 1 minute and 39 seconds.
So these guys don't have a lot of they're not control. They're like they have little to no mat time really.
Right, that's off their back.
They have little to no Mac, and these might not even. If we go back and probably look at the footage, these are probably not. These are may not be where someone's in their guard. This may be just a quick, kind of a scramble off the ground and things like that. So we would really have to go back and analyze the footage overall. But that goes to show you that these guys don't spend most of their time on the back, right? These guys are pretty much going for the striking to end you to finish the fight. And again, brings me back to my point. I think if Moreno's able to land quicker and more precise, he's got it.
Yeah, and that doesn't include again, that's not top control. That's off their back,
That's off their
control on
back.
the ground, and so that also includes submissions too. So like if Figueiredo is getting submissions off his back like Tim Elliott,
Yeah.
that you know that
Those
cancels
are,
each other out.
yeah, those are. I mean, submission attempts off your back are known. That you could either look at them as someone controlling them, or because people defend it as well, or you can
Right.
look at them off their back. So again, we would have to analyze that footage completely. However, with that being said, still the small number goes to show you that these gentlemen aren't gentlemen who fight off. These aren't people who literally These aren't people who literally go the fight fighting on their back. These are guys who push forward. They look to get the win, and the power of Figueiredo is also just like you said, another variable. The power of that small man is ridiculous. It is
Right.
absolutely ridiculous. That man can hit you like a train would kill you. That's how strong he is. And so it's just interesting. But overall, if we're gonna go over this point, I think Moreno gets it done. If he doesn't get the finish, Moreno
Mhm.
beats him in a 5 round fight.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I mean, we haven't seen Figueiredo go 5 rounds like we said. Moreno, he's shown in the Sergio Pettis fight that he can go 5 rounds, especially it was in Mexico, I believe, and he was able to go rounds grappling and striking with
Yeah.
Sergio Pettis in Mexico, which um, the what is it? The
Elevation.
yes, elevation, yes, it's even
Elevation in
harder.
Mexico is very different. Higher
Exactly.
altitude. I mean, some people don't believe in it. Others have been known, like when it comes
That
to
came the
breathing,
last one.
respiratory. When it comes to the respiratory work at higher altitude, it becomes harder. It's not
Right.
easier to breathe because it's obvious that there's less oxygen. So some people may have adapted. Some people say fighting at lower depth, lower than sea level, actually is pretty good too. Because if you're lower than sea level, then there's still not as much oxygen available. So it's pretty interesting to see how people talk about it. But yes, Moreno trains at a high altitude, so that cardio is going to be there.
Right. So I just for argument's sake, I'm gonna go with Figueiredo, but again, I
Mhm.
would not be surprised if Moreno wins. This is a very, very close fight. And if
I think
anybody that thinks Moreno's gonna get smoked in this fight, you're out of your minds. It really is close.
it's a lot closer than most people think. Now, don't get me wrong. We've stated all the tangibles. When it comes to grappling, they cancel each other out. When it comes to striking, the edge to Moreno's fast, being quicker, the quicker fighter, and Figueiredo's just the guy who is the guy who can knock you out with one punch or stun you at least with one punch. So it's the variable. If he knocks him out on tonight, it is what it is. We predicted that, and if he doesn't, then we know for Moreno wins this.
All right, let me just get my charger here. I'm about to go out and die. But let's speak about Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira, which is another interesting fight because, is Tony Ferguson done? Is he cooked? Can Tony Ferguson still be Tony Ferguson, one of the most dangerous fighters in the lightweight division, without Khabib Nurmagomedov there anymore?
I think here's the thing, right? We don't know because it's been a little bit since he's last fought, but the last fight was something that happened, and because the fight with Khabib did take place. So when we think about certain factors, we think about Corona, things like that. The biggest factor in that fight is the fact that Tony trained for a wrestling war, did not train for a fighting with Justin Gaethje. Now, of course, adjustments have to be made. He lost at the end of the day. There's no excuse for the loss. I don't think this is the end of Tony Ferguson. I think what we get in this matchup is two guys with very, very similar striking. One a little bit different than the other, right? Tony's a lot more unorthodox, switching between styles, between southpaw orthodox, to land those elbows, to land those uppercuts, to land those spinning back elbows, to land to land the jab, primarily the jab and then the push kicks, right? And then sometimes the low calf kick. We like to see that from Tony. What Charles Oliveira does is, he's almost of equal height, great jiu-jitsu. He's found his home at 155, and he's very strong. A lot of people forget that he put on a little bit muscle. He's starting to fill out more at 155. He's a lot stronger than a lot of people give him credit for. And so when we look at this, Low Code, what's up? I'm happy to hear from you, man. I hope everything's going well. He says I have Tony winning tonight. I do too. I'm gonna go Tony only because I've never betted against Tony, and the one time that failed me was the Gaethje fight. But other than that, I go Tony Ferguson for this fight. It comes down to who gets pressured more in this fight.
Hold down for 1 second. Be right with you.
I want to say it comes down to who really gets pressured more, right? And the last fight with Charles Oliveira, we saw with Kevin Lee, the biggest issue wasn't the fact that Kevin Lee was able to just take him down when he wanted to. It was the fact that the pressure from Charles Oliveira was the biggest factor in dealing with that. Kevin Lee had a very big issue with dealing with the pressure. Kevin Lee was able to take him down when he wanted to, but the pressure, the striking, the uppercuts alone seemed to have gotten him. And then a lot of people will realize, remember that Kevin Lee, I think, was maybe possibly sick before that fight or had a flu going into Brazil. So that was a bigger issue. But for Charles Oliveira, you see this growth and evolution at 155. We saw something that we know was always there at 145, but he couldn't quite get it out because he was always being edged out by his competition. So for Charles Oliveira, this fight is obviously much more. He's a little bit older. He's much more mature. I think it's great. But good. I'm glad to hear everything's good, Low Code. Tyriece, the thing I was just talking about was Charles Oliveira, was that we've seen an evolution and a maturation at 155. He's filling out well. His striking, he's becoming much more confident. He's walking people down. But with Tony, the issue with Tony is when he trains when he has the adequate time to prepare for his opponent, he's able to do the things that he's been able to do always, which is to get you to a place where you have to dig deep, get you tired, get you striking, and then beat you. And if those things can happen tonight, then Tony wins. But if those things can't happen tonight, then Tony will lose.
Yeah, I mean, this one's, again, it's kind of like Moreno and Tony. It's like Moreno and Davis Figueiredo, where Charles Oliveira wasn't known for his striking, and it wasn't until really last year where his striking really started to improve and he's really starting to really come into his own. He's usually able to get to the ground and try to submit you. That's what he's most known for. But now he's able to knock you out. He's able to have, put his strikes together, and he's more comfortable. On the feet.
Much more comfortable now, walking people down almost.
Right. The example of it would be the Kevin Lee fight, where he was able to, staying up with Kevin Lee, and then when Kevin Lee shot for a takedown, they were able to get the guillotine. So give credit where credit's due to Charles Oliveira for again, like Brandon Moreno, improving drastically from being just somebody that wants to grapple with you and take you down to the ground and submit you or control you, to now being able to be more well-rounded. Tony Ferguson, however, again, Tony Ferguson's Tony Ferguson. We've seen him do everything. He can knock you out. He can overwhelm you. He can take you to deep water and just have you miserable for 3 rounds. He's able to submit you as well. So there's more ways to win for Tony Ferguson than Charles Oliveira. I had a stat here. In terms of submission wins, Charles Oliveira hasn't beaten Spades. He has more submission wins, most double submission wins than Tony Ferguson. Everything else is Charles Oliveira is nowhere close. He has more. Tony Ferguson has more knockout wins. He has more decision wins. He has more tools in the tool shed than Charles Oliveira, and it's for that reason where if this fight doesn't go to the ground like Brandon Moreno and David Figueiredo, can you see Charles Oliveira being able to handle Tony Ferguson on the feet?
That's the issue, right? No. Tony's style switches between southpaw and orthodox, mostly orthodox, but southpaw for certain moves, right? It's the jab. Load Code actually says Tony could have won that Justin fight. He was sleeping on Justin after he dropped him the first time. I think Tony Tony going to be more cautious this fight as he lost his humble in him a little bit. I think he didn't respect Justin in the start of the fight. That was his downfall. I think at the end of the second round when he did drop Justin Gaethje, all you hear him shouting is, come on, Justin. Come on, Justin. Let's go. Let's get off that stool. I think there was, I think that's the heat of the fight, the heat of the moment. I think he's definitely going to respect Charles Oliveira. But what Tony does best is Tony minimizes the opponent and maximizes his skill set, right? Tony's not afraid to, if he gets taken down, elbows, slicing you up. It's no easy guard. If you're coming into this guard, it's submission attempts and striking on the ground, right? So, again, I think, I agree with you, Tyriece. I think he has the experience, the tools to get it done. I just think when it comes to whose time it is right now, I still think it's Tony's time. I still think you could be honestly further down. If they ran that Justin Gaethje fight back with Tony, I think that fight may not be entirely different, but it'll have a different outcome in my opinion. But if we're talking about this fight tonight, I'm definitely going to go Tony by decision. I don't think anyone. I think these guys are too tough to be finished. I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a fight tonight between these two, and this will most likely be fight of the night, in my opinion.
I don't know if they're. They're both tough. They're both tough.
So tough.
But I don't think it may be in Oliveira's power to say whether he could go 3 rounds. I think what can very much happen is Oliveira gets overwhelmed and he gets stopped, a la Anthony Pettis. And this fight is very, very. One of the things I went back and watched was the Anthony Pettis fights. Just because they're so like Anthony Pettis, he's well rounded, just like Charles Oliveira and Tony Ferguson, where seeing how Charles Oliveira did against Anthony Pettis and how Tony Ferguson did against Anthony Pettis. Charles Oliveira, this is way back in the day.
Yeah.
Once he was not able to take Anthony Pettis down, or he wasn't able to control Anthony Pettis had his way with him.
Yeah, I remember that fight. That fight. 145, right? If I'm not mistaken.
145, yeah.
Yeah, 145.
And then with Tony Ferguson, Tony Ferguson was able to get out of grappling exchanges. He was able to defend well off his back. And he just overwhelmed Anthony Pettis, who may not be as good of a striker as Tony Ferguson. I try to equate that to Charles Oliveira, but Charles Oliveira is not as good of a striker as Tony Ferguson, but he is good on the ground. So that negates itself. It's going to be more of a, I think it's going to be more of a stand-up fight like Danielson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno, where that volume, that the amount of strikes that Tony Ferguson lands in the first and second round, and keep in mind, Charles Oliveira is still getting comfortable with striking. His defense is not all the way. If you see the Kevin Lee fight, Kevin Lee caught him a bunch of times. Kevin Lee may have hurt him in the second round, I believe.
The biggest difference that I talked about when you were looking for your charger was that Kevin Lee was actually able to take him down, right? With and to control him. So he did use a lot of those moments to catch this break, like kind of gather himself. But I was like, with a guy like Tony who can kind of make you work on the ground, you being taken down like that doesn't really work to your favor.
Right.
I don't think Tony will take him down, but if they get into a scramble in a certain positions and Tony gets top position and Charles Oliveira is on the bottom, these are positions that could, he'll go for the submission, of course, but Tony's looking to position to hurt you. Then it's submission after, right? He's not, immediate submission. He'll take the submission if it's there, but what Tony does best is he wears on these guys, and it's not the traditional wrestling wear, right? Where he has you, he's holding you, making you carry the weight. It's the pressure, the volume of strikes, the type of strikes, the way the strikes are thrown, the creativity. It's just, again, the tool shed seems to be bigger on one side than the other. Not immensely, but the fact that it's bigger alone presents more options and more issues for Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, I think the one major factor from the Justin Gaethje fight and Tony Ferguson usually is that in that fight it was a boxing fight.
Yeah,
Tony Ferguson fell in love with his boxing, and he didn't mix it up like he usually does. What Tony Ferguson is good for, his teep kicks, his kicks his leg kicks, throwing elbows and stuff like that. Like that is what makes Tony Ferguson. That's what makes the pressure works, because you have to worry about all different types of things. And as he's throwing a punch while he's throwing a kick, he's throwing a kick while he's throwing a punch. He's doing all these things, and he's mixing it up to where you can't get a break. And I think that's what he does for Charles Oliveira. I think Charles Oliveira. I wanted to bring this stat up. You look at this, the first and second round between Tony Ferguson, significant strikes per round average. Tony Ferguson, I believe, throws about, on average, he throws double that Charles Oliveira does in the first and second round.
Yeah.
Double. We're talking about double the amount of strikes thrown and landed by Charles Oliveira. So I just think for somebody that's just still trying to get used to striking again, he didn't have his first knockout till last year. I think it's going to be a problem for Charles Oliveira, and I think Tony Ferguson gets it done. I wouldn't say TKO.
Yeah.
TKO second, third round.
I don't count it. I don't discount it.
It's hard to say with somebody that we're still just like Brandon Moreno, we're still trying to see the growth of he's still getting better. And so it's right now against Deiveson Figueiredo fighting Brandon Moreno or Tony Ferguson fighting Charles Oliveira, we don't know if Oliveira and Moreno have put up to that level yet. And tonight we're going to see.
Yeah, tonight we see if they're ready for that. I think Moreno is ready. I don't know if Figueiredo has to be ready too, right? Like, it's just tonight's going to be a lot of questions answered. A lot of variables to these fights. Fights are very close, but we'll see. Are there any other fights you're excited? Wait, sorry. Oh, so you're going Tony Ferguson by knockout second round, or finish by finish or knockout?
I'm gonna go TKO.
TKO, that's fair.
TKO. I think maybe doctors or referee steps in.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't think he's gonna knock him out. I think it's gonna be a stoppage. Yeah.
Are there any other fights you're excited for that you
The Cyril Gane one for me, that one's a big one for multiple reasons. One, the UFC is going through a purge right now where it seems like they're getting rid of fighters, and Junior Dos Santos is one of those fighters where he's on a losing streak. He's fighting an up-and-comer heavyweight in that division, and it's interesting to see what they're going to do next. Junior Dos Santos is also getting older too, and he's also been hurt. He's also been knocked out a lot, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly can he beat Cyril Gane. And also, if he can't beat them, is the UFC are they going to cut the JGS? Another fight to me is Kevin Holland versus Jacare Souza.
Oh, of course.
We talked about this last week where, I thought it was kind of a blessing in disguise that Kevin Holland didn't have to fight Jack Hermanson just because at style matchups. I think against an older Jacare, if Kevin Holland can beat Jacare, then maybe set up Kevin Holland gets maybe a top 10, top 5 opponent next.
After this, I agree.
But those are my two fights that I'm looking forward to. There are other fights on this card. Chase Hooper is back. Cub Swanson is back.
That guy, what's his name? He's Russian. He's actually fighting our boy from 145 who moved up.
Yes, that's a sleeper fight. Hanato Moicano versus Rafael Fiziev. Fiziev?
Maya, Fizmaya. Hold on. Let me double check and just let me go back. I'm gonna look at the name again. Hold on.
No M. It's
Am I bugging?
I think it's Rafael Fiziev. I could completely wrong. I hope not his name.
Fiziev, yeah, Fiziev.
Yeah, so Fiziev's coming with a great performance as well. So it's going to see that's a sleeper fight there. Mackenzie Dern versus what's her name? Verna Janarova.
Jandiroba. Jandiroba is actually she's actually very big. She's gonna be very big. I think a lot of people are gonna be sleeping on her. She's so talented, grappling wise, striking wise. She's got it all. Billy Quarantillo is someone that a lot of people need to look out for their radar. She's a mean 145, or the man goes in there to hurt and kill. And your boy is back on the card. Peter Barrett versus Chase Hooper.
Yeah. There's a bunch of
good fights. Very good
quality fights on this card. It's definitely worth seeing. It's definitely worth paying the $80 for. I would argue that it's more worthy of paying this fight than the last fight. So I definitely am excited to watch this fight. Also, Anthony Josh is coming on the next hour or two, which is going to be exciting as well. So a lot of good fights coming on. You got basketball back, a lot of entertainment to watch. So we can't wait to be back here tomorrow at 10:30 to discuss, whether we were right, whether we were wrong. Did we get it? Did what happened? What we predicted today is going to happen. So I'm excited.
All right.
So can't wait to speak to you again, Elijah, tomorrow at 10:30. We're going to be right back here. Join the conversation. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you thought we were right or wrong. And join the show. And if you're not yet, subscribe, like the stream, and tell us what you think.
Take care.
All right. You have to get your sneaker. I'm waiting for my Xbox. I'm going to talk to you later, sir. Signing off, my name is Tyriece Elijah.
Elijah Jones.
This has been MMA Renegade. Have a nice day, guys.